Hey, guess what month it is? Zelda Month! Hello, everybody, I'm the Maroon Mercenary, and how are my vast and adoring fans? Huh. Well, that isn't going to stop me. I'm feeling extra optimistic today because this episode's review is on The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It should go without saying that the Legend of Zelda series is a Nintendo property due to it being common knowledge amongst gamers, but this little tidbit is for the people who aren't big into games. To be honest, I never was big into the Legend of Zelda series. That is until Ocarina of Time came out, and oh my goodness, this game left an imprint on me. The memory of how I was introduced to this franchise is rather muddy, but I do have fond memories taking turns playing through the game with one of my older siblings. Now, as far as the story goes, it isn't anything much to write home about that says that it is different from the other Zelda titles. You would play as Link, the courageous hero of... Well, all depends on which title you're talking about, but in this one, the hero of time. Zelda and the land of Hyrule is in danger from the evil Ganon, and as the hero of time, you take on the tedious grunt work of saving the world. Granted, every Zelda story has something fresh to keep the formula going. As of this review's creation, this game is the origin point for the fork in the Zelda timeline. You start off playing as, and you guessed it, Link, but as a child. You are summoned by the Great Deku Tree to embark on a quest to save Hyrule. This quest begins with clearing the curse placed on the elderly tree by the evil Ganondorf, the King of Thieves. So, let me get this straight. An old tree wants a child to enter the inside of said tree to make him feel good again.
And while you're at it, I've got some popsicles in the basement of my dungeon if you want to go deeper.
And as you progress through the plot as young Link, you go to other sections of Hyrule to relieve them of their respective problems that is caused by Ganondorf. And as your reward, you collect sacred jewels from them so you can protect the sacred realm from the bad man. Once you collect everything you need, you then go to the temple that holds the gate to the sacred realm and enter that realm by pulling out the Master Sword from the stone pedestal it rests in. As Arthur pulls the sword out of the stone, he is now king of all the land. Sorry, wrong story. Because you are too young to properly use the Master Sword, the realm holds you in for 7 years while giving Ganondorf the opportunity to seize the mighty artifact known as the Triforce. This in turn gives him the power to take over Hyrule. Moving on to 7 years later, Link is now old enough to be recognized as a man.
Ah, rats!
As adult Link, you truly start the quest of saving Hyrule by awakening the 6 sages. Unfortunately, it isn't as easy as approaching them ringing a loud bell and yelling, "Wake up." For starters, Link is always presented practically as a mute. However, to awaken the sages, you need to go to the temples of Hyrule and exterminate the evils that dwell within them. Every trip to or inside the temple consists of 2 things. You learn a song that lets you quick travel to the temple, and you obtain at least 1 item important to defeating evil in said temple. Once you defeat a boss, you awaken a sage. Once all of the sages awake, you can fight Ganondorf. Once you defeat Ganondorf, all is well again in the land of Hyrule, and you officially finish the game. Yeah, I know. I make it sound so alluring, and honestly, even though the story is presented very well by the gameplay and the cutscenes, that really is the story. Speaking of gameplay, I think they did a good job for the capabilities the N64 had to offer. Instead of 2 item buttons and movement input like in previous Zelda titles, this was the game that gave you a button for your sword, a context-sensitive button, like to move a block around, 3 buttons to dedicate items to, and, well, movement input. Not just that, but since it was the first 3D Zelda game, they implemented a button for fixing your camera. This is just to fix it back to having the camera go behind Link, or if prompted to, stick on a target which is usually but not necessarily an enemy. You are free to roam anywhere you want to. However, as a downside to this game, just because you are able to go where you want, they made this game pretty linear of a game. Best example of this is the companion that accompanies Link. Anyone who has played this game knows which companion I am referring to.
Hey, listen!
Yeah, we're talking about the very lovable Navi. There are memes and complaints all over the internet to the point that there are now complaints of these memes and complaints by other people online. Since I didn't play it in a long time, I could agree that those memes were getting old. But then, I played it again recently for this review. This awoken the reason why I supported the memes and complaints in the first place. This little fairy is the whole reason this game gives the illusion of an open world. If you are not doing that particular part of the main quest you should be doing, then Navi nags and nags and nags to the point you want to put her in a glass bottle and shake it with ferocity. This nagging even includes the times when you are on your way to the part you should be in. I could probably spend the rest of this episode just complaining about Navi in this game, but no one has the time for that. Another problem with this game would be the outfits that Link wears in the game. Don't get me wrong, the concept of Link needing different garments and footwear to complete his quest to defeat Ganon is pretty unique and fun. However, the execution of this concept is the problem. As far as tunics go, it really is just an inconvenience. You can just put on the proper tunic when you are in the atmosphere that needs it, and not worry until the time you change your environment. The problem really lies within the boots. It's not so bad with the hover boots when you are in an area that heavily needs them. That's because you can go through that area the entire time just wearing them. And this leads to the other extra footwear in the game, the iron boots. This was truly meant for the underwater puzzles that the game provides, and this usually consists of going into the menu, equip the iron boots, walk around in them for a few seconds, and then go back to the menu and change out again. This is a terrible mechanic. It is a pace killer and the underlying issue of why other people complain about the water temple. But hey, speaking of the water temple, the overall level design is magnificent. There are 10 dungeons in the game, but split evenly for young Link and adult Link. For anyone at home who played this means that I am including the Spirit Temple as 2 dungeons. Each set of 5 represents the elements of the sages, and you consider the ones young Link needs to go through as the mini temples of each element. What I love about the dungeons young Link must go through is that it keeps the theme of the elements, but gives you a very unique twist of how it ties in. The first 3 seem very obvious to tie in, like inside the body of a fish as the water theme. My oh my, who knew? But the shadow element is represented by the bottom of the well or young Link's Spirit Temple is just captivating for me. The bottom of the well is one of 2 places in the game that really shows darkness and troubled times in Hyrule history. You could call this the Shadow of Hyrule. The Spirit Temple captivated me because of my interpretation of the theme that it was going for. You can't really move into the future without the actions of the past. It says that best when you can't even progress through the adult side until you've completed the child side of the temple. Now that philosophical ideas are out in the open, the actual designs of the levels are pretty solid for the most part. Most of the chambers inside of the dungeons are either a puzzle or an enemy that needs to be overcome to pass through. Either way, you're getting a challenge to deal with. Then other areas are just walkways to get to chamber. This creates a nice balance of just a quick breather until the next challenge. The exception to this is the water temple. Surprise, surprise, another YouTuber having a problem with the water temple. Well, yes, this was designed poorly. The atmosphere of the temple was great, but the entire temple was based on the iron boots mechanic and tinkering with water levels. This made everything in the temple way too long and too slow. However, unlike others that make a big scene out of this, I want to say that it is a bad level, but I still enjoy it for what it was worth. Playing the Nintendo 64 version for this review, my biggest challenge was to accept the graphics. Back then, the graphics were evolutionary, and this made the game immersive and spectacular just by itself. Unfortunately, as time goes by, it hasn't aged well at all. The graphics are very boxy and sharp, but not in a good way. Jeez, Impa! Put those away before you poke an eye out! And the textures in the game are just garbage compared to the current game visuals. In my opinion, if you want something that aged better, the audio still sounds tried and true. It isn't top-notch compared to audio today, but the issues Ocarina of Time have seem like it could be blamed on recording from that time. It doesn't always sound the cleanest in-game, but that is if your ears are purposely trying to pick it up. The sound effects get the job done pretty well. There isn't really any voice acting in the game as far as dialogue goes, but when the voices are heard, the emotion behind the sound is well understood. One thing I find to be fun is that, as adult Link, I would fall from a large height that I could not roll out of, and on landing, I can swear he said a naughty. However, I am willing to accept that this is just me hearing it. Leave a comment below telling me what you interpret. And the music. Oh, do I love the music in this game. The designers definitely took time to give the emotion of the area you are in. Even without the area, the music grows on you. I do play songs from the soundtrack from time to time without playing the game. It is so enchanting. I could just see myself on my deathbed and still give the music an A+. To sum things up, the game in general is great. It tells a great story, the levels were well crafted, for the most part, and it is fantastic in the gameplay department. I definitely would recommend playing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. However, if you have a Nintendo 3DS or a similar handheld capable, I suggest playing the remastered version. The graphics are fresher and able to age better for longer. Also, they take care of a lot of issues from the N64 version. I'm the Maroon Mercenary, and listen to my sweet ocarina skills in the credits. Hey buddy! Thank you for making it to the end of my video. It's Zelda Month, so the next episode you can count on another Zelda video. It might be an overall review of another game, I might break down mechanics of the water temple even further, or I might even make a top 5 or top 10 video. Heck, I might even make a video laughing at the cutscenes in Ocarina of Time. If you like my video, please give me a big thumbs up down below. You can also take the time to subscribe to my channel and ring the notifications bell to stay updated with my videos I come up with every 2 weeks. Hopefully with your help, I can do this full time and give more videos more often. On the top left of your screen, you can click on my last video to see Bendy and the Ink Machine. On the top right, it is a random video of mine YouTube suggests. Finally, I want to take the time to thank you viewers. I really do enjoy taking the time recording the footage I use for these reviews because I get to play these games. And I really do love making the videos I present. I hope you enjoy it as well, and I will see you next time.